Happy Nowruz to everyone. I have been in this room, SDG 50, at least 100 times for hearings over the years, maybe 200. And I will tell you flat out, I have never seen it looking better and more beautiful than it does today. So my compliments to anyone responsible for that. This Haftzin is really magnificent and reminds us, as others have said, about the history and proud culture of Iran, and the fact that this great country and this great people, educated, civilized people, are essentially being held captive by a tyrannical, despotic regime. Because of the importance of stopping the radical extremist regime in Iran from getting nuclear weapons, we've all been naturally focused on the negotiations between the P5+1 and Iran. The president has said, President Obama said, no deal is better than a bad deal, and we ought to make sure that Congress has the power through Corker Menendez to reject that bad deal. They have masterfully manipulated the United States and the other members of the P5+1 to a point where I think they have concluded, the Iranian regime has concluded, that we want an agreement much more than they do. And as anybody who's ever been involved in negotiations of any kind knows, that's a bad place to be. Why are we so fearful of the Islamic Republic of Iran getting nuclear weapons? That's what I really want to focus on today. Obviously, it's bad in itself when nuclear weapons proliferate in the world, but I want to focus on the government that is involved in the most horrific and also aggressive human rights violations in the Middle East, stifling democracy and fueling the sectarian conflict throughout the region. And that, of course, is the Islamic Republic of Iran. Let me talk about human rights first. Today, there are at least 900 political prisoners in jails in Iran, people who are there for no other reason than they express their political opinion. The UN reports that at least 753 individuals were executed by the current Iranian government in 2014, last year. That's the highest total in a dozen years. And as many of you know, executions have occurred at a far more rapid pace since the self-proclaimed moderate Hassan Rouhani became president than they did under his predecessor Ahmadinejad. What about gender equality? Well, Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has called gender equality, and I quote, one of the biggest mistakes of Western thought. I guess he's not too happy about the National Council of Resistance, or the MEK, because it happens to be led by a great woman, Mrs. Rajavi. So Iran treats women as second-class citizens. They can't enter public stadiums. They must adhere to dress codes. They face restricted access to employment. They can be forced into marriage as children. This is an extraordinarily gifted group of people who are pushed out of the mainstream of society. In one recent high-profile case of just extreme abuse, the Tehran government executed a 26-year-old woman for killing a man who was attempting to rape her. This is prime evil. And what about the internet? The internet is just plain blocked. Google is blocked, Wikipedia is blocked, Amazon is blocked, we could go on and on, YouTube. A group called Reporters Without Borders that monitors this kind of behavior called Iran an enemy of the internet. And in 2013 said that they were the worst country in the world in freedom of the internet. Why do they do this? These are not acts of strength or security by the government. These are acts of weakness and insecurity by the regime that currently governs a great country, Iran. They're afraid of the people. Their people. They're afraid of their people talking to each other. They're afraid of their people going on the internet and finding out what's happening in the rest of the world. And here I want to just take a moment to talk about Camp Liberty. Starting in 1986, this organization was headquartered at Camp Ashraf in Iraq until 2012, when it was relocated to a small section of Camp Liberty, which is directly east of the Baghdad International Airport. Camp Liberty had been built and maintained by the U.S. Army until the departure of most of our forces in 2011. Shortly after the coalition invasion of Iraq in 2003, all the residents of Ashraf, again, Iranian dissidents, I would say freedom fighters, were provided written assurances of protected person status under the Fourth Geneva Convention if certain actions were taken on the part of the residents. And all of them were taken. They met every expectation that we, the United States government, placed on them. Unfortunately, in 2009, the protected person status was revoked summarily, arbitrarily, without cause. And the residents, their security, was turned over to the Iraqi government at the time, which was heavily influenced by Tehran, which would like nothing better than to take violent action against these enemies of theirs, because they're fighters for freedom in Ashraf. There's a lot more I could say about that, but let me just say, as we work hard here on Capitol Hill and elsewhere to liberate the people who are trapped in Camp Liberty, we owe them. And I promise you that I will do everything I can to make sure that the United States does everything it can to keep its word. So let me say, in summary, and speak to you directly, those of you who fight and work so hard in this movement. You may occasionally ask yourselves, how can the movement of events going in such a terrible direction in a country that means so much to you and should mean so much to everybody who fights for freedom and cares about it, be stopped? And the answer, I think, is that it can be stopped by good and courageous people who are prepared to fight to stop it. The people of Iran, typified and represented in many ways by the National Council of Resistance in Iran, are really the answer. As much as I know you believe in your cause, even you must sometimes ask yourself, is it possible, can the regime in Iran, with all its weapons, all its money, and the control it has over its people internally, really be stopped and overthrown? And I say to you today, based not just on faith, but on history, yes, the regime in Iran can be overthrown, and I believe it will be soon. I say to you today that the evil empire of the Islamic Republic of Iran will be vanquished in our time, and the world will begin anew. And part of why that will happen is because of the principle, the devotion, the steadfastness, the courage, the intellectual energy, the remarkable intelligence work done in Iran by the National Council of Resistance, led, as I mentioned briefly earlier, by Ms. Rajavi, who is a remarkable figure in her own right and a powerful figure, strong, gifted, modern, religious, and clearly tolerant. And what a message to the Ayatollah and the other mullahs that she happens to be a woman. And what a change that would be. But I want to close by repeating something I said on that occasion. It was an honor to speak to that group. Histories and heroes in this room, and I add in this room too, tell me that the future does not belong to despots and dictators. It belongs to activists from Tehran. Dear friends, I wish you a happy Nowruz. I know Nowruz means new day. With you, I pray that this is the year in which, and I pray with faith, that this is the year when we will see not just a new day in Iran, but a new government that will reflect and represent and protect the people of this great country. Thank you very, very much.